Hello folks, this is Scott with Dallas Paint Correction and Luxury Microfiber here in Dallas, Texas. Just want to bring you guys in. I'm going to use a fallout remover, an iron remover on this new car, and see if we've got any iron that's kind of embedded itself into the paint. You can get iron from, they call it rail dust. A lot of these cars get transported on trains, and the trains hit their brakes, right, and all that dust can kick up onto the cars that are being transported. They can sit outside at the dealership, maybe on a busy highway, lots of people hitting their brakes and dust is flying through the air and landing on the car at the dealership. People test drive these things, you hit the brakes, that brake dust sticks to the paint. So I want to decontaminate, see if there's any iron on this paint before we get started. But I want to talk about something. We want to, when we're looking at iron removers, we have to remember the active ingredient that is able to dissolve the iron or the ferrous metal on the paint. The active ingredient, the way it works, when you spray it on there and it kind of changes color, changes to purple, what's happening is it's dissolving or breaking down that ferrous metal on the paint. This is done by rapidly accelerating the process of oxidation. That's going to be important. Completely safe for the paint, for the glass, all the way around the car. But I am going to make a recommendation about plastic trim. Be very careful with this stuff around plastic trim. I'm going to make a recommendation here. You guys decide if it works in your world. But let me bring you in on this car, right? So basically what I've done is just rinsed it off. Can you guys see how crazy I am? There's a plastic piece, a plastic trim that runs on the bottom side of this door. I have it taped up. Why? Because as I spray the iron remover on the paint, it's naturally going to want to drift down, right? Well, as it drifts down and gets onto that plastic, you got to remember, plastic is porous. That chemical can kind of drift into the plastic. What do we know about plastic trim to begin with? Well, it's highly susceptible to oxidation. It's always outgassing and venting. So we wouldn't necessarily want that chemical to get inside the plastic trim or its residue to sit on it. Now, you don't have to tape up your plastic trim if you don't want to. You can work strategically around the car, right? Spray your iron remover, and as it drifts down, you can just have a garden hose ready. Just rinse off that plastic trim every once in a while and stop that stuff from drifting on the plastic, because we're going to use an iron remover and it needs to sit on the paint for what? Up to 5 minutes. So I don't like it sitting on the plastic, because that chemical can kind of bring on the, that trim look that starts to look white and chalky. This is my opinion. I have seen it in the industry, so I wanted to explain it. You decide, do you want to tape it off? Do you want to just hit it with water as it drifts down? That's completely up to you. But let me grab my iron remover and we'll spray it onto the paint. See if we get anything going on here. This is kind of a clinging formula, so I'll shoot it on there. You can be liberal with it. You want to make sure that you're working at a direct sunlight, right? You don't want this stuff to dry on the paint. You also have to remember, as it activates and starts to turn purple when it comes in contact with ferrous metals, that purple chemical can start to stain the paint if you don't rinse it off properly or get rid of all the residue. So I have another trick too. Let me apply some more on here so I kind of shut up talking, right? So I want to make sure I get it all over the place. Yes, this iron remover I'm working on does cling to the paint, but it also smells like the backside of a skunk. Doesn't smell all that great. I'm kind of just focusing on the paint. Once I get done with the paint, I'll spray some on the glass as well. You can spray this stuff on the glass. You can spray it onto that chrome trim. I'm not seeing anything activate just yet. That doesn't mean there isn't iron on the paint, but we'll kind of see what happens here. Maybe I'm lucky and there's not a lot of it on the paint. That would be great. Someone's going to ask me, hey Scott, after I use an iron remover like this, do I have to clay afterwards? Well, we have to remember these iron formulas are only going after iron. You can have other industrial, fallout material on the paint that this iron remover will not get. So yes, typically you do have to clay afterwards, but you'll find yourself claying far less. You probably won't be on the paint that long because, again, hopefully we've removed a lot of the ferrous metals from the paint. That's cool, right? So that kind of gives us an advantage when we go into clay afterwards. We probably won't be on the car that long. Unless it's really old, never been clayed before, and boy, you've got a bunch of other stuff besides ferrous metals on your paint. But let's go. Let's see here. Is anything happening? I'm not seeing any reaction just yet. Maybe down here, I'm starting to see it towards the corner of this panel here by the tire. I can see some purple stuff starting to happen. But she's doing her thing. She's clinging on there. I've got some purple spots starting to show up in the paint here, here. I've got a little bit of iron. Oh yeah, she's starting to raise its ugly head now. But we want to, here's some iron stuff kind of happening here underneath the mirror. But we want this to sit there for about 3 to 5 minutes. It's on the glass as well. Now, I don't have to be worried about the stuff dripping on the plastic, right? I've got it covered up with tape. The next thing I'm gonna recommend, after you let it dwell for 3 to 5 minutes, this is a perfect day to do it. It's cloudy. I don't have to worry about it drying up on me. It'll be fine. What I'm gonna do is have my foam cannon ready, because after this dwells for about 3 to 5 minutes, here's some iron beginning to happen pretty nicely there. Can you guys see that purple stuff on the paint? There you go. But I'm gonna use my foam cannon because I wanna neutralize this cleaner, this fallout remover, once it's done its deal. So I'm gonna foam it and then I'm gonna rinse the car off. I kinda wanna neutralize that active ingredient inside the fallout remover and kind of neutralize that chemical within the formula so it doesn't cause any, you know, if you did this in direct sunlight and let this stuff dry in the paint, boy, it could stain the paint, so you got to be careful. Hey, I tell you what, Scott, since we're here, why don't we put some on the rims? Let's see what happens there. I've owned this car for about a month, and I don't know, I got maybe 100 miles on it. I hardly ever use it. Someone's going to tease me and say, Scott, why'd you buy it then? I don't know. I'm a crazy American. We just buy things because we want to, right? And I certainly didn't need anything this big. Although my daughter likes to go horseback riding and all that good stuff, so I wanted a little bit more extra room for that stuff. How we doing? Okay. There's some purple goodness starting to happen on the top of this door panel there. You see all those little purple dots? That's the main ingredient beginning to break down the iron that's stuck on the paint or embedded on the paint. It's doing it by rapidly accelerating the process of oxidation. That's how we remove ferrous metals from the paint, or you can use a clay bar. This certainly makes it a little bit easier, right? All right, how we doing? You guys getting bored yet? Probably. I don't blame you. But I wanted to bring you in on this. I got to do it, right? I've been lazy and not getting to it. The car's been sitting in the garage. But let me put you down because I think we've got enough iron off this paint. I'm not really seeing anything else activate. I got some active areas and very inactive areas, so that's good. Let me set you down. I'll hit it with a foam cannon here. How you guys doing? I know this is the worst part when I shake this camera, right? Okay, there we go. So I'll let it sit for about another minute or so. Hopefully not, Scott. We don't want to watch this whole process. I don't blame you, but it's fun. I don't want to do this alone. I want you guys to be with me. I love you guys. All right. Boy, towards the front panel by the wheel, there's a lot of iron activity happening. I could see it towards the rear as well. But the two big door panels here, the driver's door and the passenger door, there's iron up on top above the door handles, which kind of makes sense, right? As all this industrial fallout, all this iron floats around, it's going to stick on those panels. This is a brand new car, so there's going to be less of it on the really, really flat side panels. But I got this car right off the transport when it got to the dealership. They got it off. One of the guys removed the protective film. I agreed to it. Really nice guy. I trusted him. He removed the protective film, then I bought it. They were going to put a big ribbon on it and put it in the showroom, and because it was around Christmas time. But I said, no, don't put the ribbon on it. I want it. I'll buy it. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot it with my foam cannon so I neutralize that cleaner and rinse it off. So I'm going to do this side of the car, and then I'll do the other side When I'm done, I'll do the hood, I'll do the rear. I kind of work around in sections. I could probably do the whole car because it's a cloudy day, but I don't want to kill you. We'll just do one side. Boy, that's a lot of shaving cream stuff there, right? Someone's going to say, Scott, that's useless. Yeah, to some extent, but it's fun. I love it. Hey, it's a Friday afternoon. I got to pick up my daughter a little bit later. I wanted to have some fun. But I'll rinse it off, and then we're going to be done. So this way, the soap now has neutralized that cleaner. I feel pretty good about it. I'll rinse it off, do the other side of the car, do the front, the rear, the top. Probably should have done the top first, right? But that doesn't make for a cool video. Oh, don't want to force that. Maybe my Infinity, you got to hit the power. Who knows? See if I touch the paint. I know a lot of guys will use the baggy trick when the car is dry, right? There's another really great way to see if you have any bonded contaminants on the car or any iron. Get your hand wet, and when the car is wet, you can kind of run your fingers lightly across the paint. The fluid, the water alone on your fingertips and on the paint is going to kind of amplify your sense of touch. You guys can feel the bonded contaminants on the paint. The baggy test is cool, but I never really understood it, right? I understand how it works, but car's dry, you've washed it, and now you're going to run a plastic bag over the car. It works, but I'm not a big fan of it. I've been touching paint for so long, I can tell when the car is dry, wet, whatever, that it's got bonded contaminants on it. But that's pretty much the whole process there. I'll pull the tape off now, I'll do the other side of the car and work around the vehicle, but I wanted to share that with you. Hopefully I didn't bore you. Thanks so much for watching me do this so I'm not alone doing it. But we'll talk to you guys soon. I love you so much.